So last year I meet this cute guy and we exchanged numbers and said, why don't we go to the beach, I'll grab us a couple sandwiches. We meet up on the beach and just immediately jump into this awesome conversation about like life and Oprah, which is all flirting to me, but I realized it might not be for him, so I start testing it out. This was not a date. And so I realized, all right, this might not be love, but he got himself some free therapy, all for the cost of 2 sandwiches, and I also got an idea for a show. All right, Sterling, well, thanks for coming and bringing us some sandwiches.
Hey,
what sandwiches did you, what's your
pleasure.
comfort food sandwich?
I brought you my favorite.
Yeah.
Which I never leave home without, which is the Southwestern style chicken wrap.
Awesome, okay.
Yeah.
I love that you brought a sandwich for us to enjoy today.
I brought you a wrap and I brought you my heart.
Oh, I love it. Well,
Yeah.
listen, you brought the wraps and the sandwich, so I'm here and I'll bring the support. How about
Great.
that? What do you want to talk about? What would you say for you right now, Sterling,
God,
has been
what
the thing that
shouldn't
you've
we talk
felt
about?
the most crossed about and unsure?
I am in this weird place right now of life, which is I'm almost like stuck between wanting to stay single or wanting to be in a relationship. I was in a long-term relationship. I've been single now for 5 years.
Okay.
But we were together 6 years. And it was a great experience, like the best experience ever. He smoothed out my life really nicely.
Yeah.
Because he's like opposite. I'm like an artist and all over the place, and he was like a marketing guy and just confused by my industry.
Like you were the kite up in the sky, but you were also tethered to the ground by him.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. What happened around year 5, I started like wanting to hook up with other people.
Yeah.
And I was never going to cheat on him, so we went to therapy and decided to call it.
Yeah.
There was like some moments where it was really tough, very painful because I couldn't understand how I was so in love with somebody, but I was also sexually attracted to other guys.
Was there ever a conversation about maybe opening the relationship or even just talking about?
Yeah, his
Oh, okay.
response, because I was like, should we try an open relationship? He was like, we can absolutely try that, but just know that I will leave.
So knowing what you know now, looking back on it, what do you think was, maybe kind of the biggest issue? Was it just the fact that you were like younger and you weren't ready to settle down for more? Like, what do you think it was?
Yeah, I wanted to sexually explore myself a lot more.
All right, well, it's been 5 years. How's that
Yeah,
been going?
I've been exploring the fuck out of it. And
what have you loved about it?
a lot.
Like what?
I just love it. I love being single. I love being sex positive. You taught me that term.
Because otherwise you would have called it what?
A hoe.
Hoe phase? Well, so you've been getting like all of those needs fulfilled
I've
over
been
the
getting
last
a lot.
5 years.
Yeah, and it's been amazing.
But then there's also another part of you that's kind of wanting a relationship too.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
It's the Sundays. It's the the Tuesday afternoon whenever it's just like everything's crashing in and I don't really have that partnership to like help stabilize me.
Yeah.
I'm constantly searching for like a +1 to go with me places.
Yeah. What would you say, obviously there's a number of reasons for this, but what would you say is the thing that scares you the most then about being in a relationship, being committed in that way?
That I won't get to hook up with anybody else.
Really? So it's just about the hookup?
Yeah, pretty much.
Nothing else? No intimacy issues?
No.
None of that?
None. It just, really?
I don't know.
Go
Sterling,
in.
I mean, I love you and I've known you for a while, and sometimes I wonder, I'm not gonna presume to be the expert on you at all, but sometimes I wonder if there's maybe just some difficulties or fears in maybe a little bit more of a commitment, not to sound like so cliche about it,
Right,
and I could be way off.
No, you're absolutely right.
But I mean,
it's why I'm attracted to unavailable. I absolutely would say that my main source of my commitment issue, I'm taking ownership that I have commitment issues.
Okay.
But the center source of my commitment issue is I never want to get back to what happened to me the first time with my relationship.
Which is?
I never want to hurt someone like that again.
Having maybe a different look or consideration about some of the things that we think about ourselves and feel about our sex lives or our sex drive is something then that might shed a little bit more light on kind of like what's going on, so that within us then we can find a new way to challenge that, and a new way of being loving, and a new way of being forgiving, and a new way of making more positive meaning about the fact that you have a really great healthy sex drive. that's not poison, that's not what ruined a relationship. You know, it was just an issue of compatibility at that point. And now you have a little bit more sense of what could potentially work for you.
That's a much gentler way of putting it, yes.
Yeah.
It's smoother on my soul hearing that. It's nice. It's like putting on
You like
a
it?
silk kimono. Like, I'm into this.
But if there's not even a chance or an opportunity for us to take some risk in life, and I'm talking about like emotional risk, like really kind of putting ourselves out there, not necessarily because we have to have that relationship or for other people, but because what is it that we're reinforcing to ourselves if we have to keep ourselves closed off or alone? You know, what's the thinking there? What are we promoting within ourselves that we can't open ourselves up?
I just wonder if my life is not supposed to be a life that I like meet the perfect guy and I spend the rest of my life with, but maybe I have like, by the time I'm 104, I have like 7 amazing relationships.
I totally believe in that.
Oh, okay.
I totally believe in that, especially because we're just kind of fucked in our culture, because just the way that we've been conditioned has been, from a very early age, you have to figure out what you want to do with your life and where you want to live and who you want to be with and how many children you want to have or what all of that looks like by like 18 to 22 or something crazy. And that's just not how life is, especially as we're living longer lives too, you know? So there's just more to consider, you know, and like as we continue to grow and as we continue to evolve, that there's going to be all kind, you know, we can have 2, 3, 4, 5 careers in our lives, loves in our lives, you know, groups of friends, you know, that those things can evolve. And I think that's totally okay. We don't have to pigeonhole ourselves into kind of this one idea about what a relationship should be.
Yeah.
And we might have a string of a few really great loves in our lives. And I think that's okay. And I think regardless of what, you know, if it's one great love for all of it or a handful of them or anywhere in between, that as long as we're able to just check in with our own thinking and what our intention is with keeping ourselves open and available to connection, then we'll probably have a better chance of figuring some things out in a more loving way as opposed to being dominated by fear and closing ourselves up.
Right. Yeah, makes sense. I got nothing to add to that. I'm with that.
All right, cool.
I dig it. Yeah.
Well, I think maybe we've come to the end of our conversation.
Really? All right.
Unless you have any questions for me about anything.
I don't think so.
It's okay. We could also just dance.
All right, I'm into that.
Yeah, you want to dance it off a little bit? I think we talked about a lot. Why don't we get out of the depths of this and get into our bodies?
Should we stretch first? I mean,
we can do whatever.